Yo, what's up? It's your boy E.T. Welcome to another edition of Mass Impact, the educational podcast. Now, look, the reason why I started this, I truly believe that education is the way to close the gap, the wealth gap, the digital divide gap, the opportunity gap. Look, the American dream gap. Can I be honest? Everybody's not experiencing the American dream in the way it's supposed to be experienced. So the reason why we started the Mass Impact, the educational podcast, is to close that gap. Now look, mass is simple. It means motivate, actionable steps, which means what? We're going to give you strategies every week. So we're not just going to motivate you and inspire you, which is important, but we're going to give you actionable steps. And look, it's a support system, y'all. Thus Mass. It's your boy E.T. Now you know. Let's go.
What up? What up? What's up? It's your boy E.T. is always excited about education, excited about learning, about teaching, just about, our school system. We truly believe here at Mass Impact, that education is the foundation of success. Like you can't get under it. You can't get around it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't get through it. Like the only way to success is through learning. Now, we're not necessarily talking about, just degrees and things of that nature, but the essence of learning, reading and writing, critical thinking and comprehension, all these things are important. So as always, we're here to motivate you. We're going to talk about this on our next episode, but we were reading an article about, again, why motivation is important. A lot of educators aren't motivated to be in the classroom or to be in the building. And as a result, we have a teacher shortage. So you say, why is motivation important? Because when people are not motivated to do something, they usually don't do it. Or if they're not motivated to do it, they do it, but they don't do it with the same passion. And as a result, they don't get the same results that they normally get. So this is why motivation is so important. We're talking about passion, loving what you do and doing it, at the highest level with the why. But then, hey, after you are passionate about it, there's still certain action steps you have to take. We call it execution, right? And then finally, again, definitely looking at the article, we need a support system. It seems that, a lot of educators don't want to support what we call traditional learning, So we'll talk about that all next week. But for those of you who are in the classroom, you started already. Those of you getting ready to start, congratulations, man. Super grateful for you. Super grateful. Now, I'm an educator, so we're all educators. So we, of course, have always been grateful. But I think in these times specifically, in these times specifically, you are always a hero, but twice a hero, in this time frame. So just thank you for not abandoning our school system, our children, our society. Thank you. And so with that being said, Katie, what's our topic for today?
Yeah, today we're going to talk writing. So we just started a literacy series. We all know the importance of literacy and increasing literacy skills for our kids. And so last week we talked reading. Today we're going to jump in and talk writing. How do we get our students to have a high level of writing skills across the board, K-12?
So, guys, I told you I had the distinct privilege of working with our students in Detroit on the East Side. And it was all East Side kids came to Finney, the old Finney, I'm sorry. It's a new school with a new name, some charter school. And then Mumford on the West Side. And then we were privileged to go to River Rouge to talk to some of our parents, volunteers. And I just want to shout out all the superintendents, principals, superintendent supporters, staff members that were there. I had a phenomenal time. But one of the things that I thought was necessary, inspiration, we talk about it all the time. That's my thing. I just believe that people need to be inspired. But I had Katie come up specifically for the literacy part, right? And one of the things I did was I gave them a writing assignment because I wanted to get a sample of their writing so that we can kind of figure out where they were, you know, and kind of move from there. So inspiration, I told each student, there were like clusters. So I promised them all that if they completed it, was willing to send it in so that Katie could edit it, and whatever corrections she asked them to make, if they made them, I would give each one of them $100 to do that. So again, we're talking about how do we get children to write? Well, one of the ways we do it is trying to find an incentive, right? Another incentive, and a lot of you guys aren't going to believe this, and maybe you are, depending on what part of the world you live in. But I said at the end of our 4-week journey, we'll throw a party, right? And so I was like, yo, whatever y'all want for food, because I like to eat, you know, whatever y'all want for food, you know, you can have it. So you had a couple kids, you know, kind of uttering pizza, and kids was like, pizza, we tired of pizza. I was like, okay, cool, what y'all want? And they were like, Chick-fil-A. And I was like, all right, bet, we got you. But then it dawned on me, man, Chick-fil-A, the closest one is probably in Novi, which is 25 minutes away. Now, I didn't know that there was one downtown Detroit, but it's not really a restaurant, right? Katie, you'll have to explain because I've never been there before. So you said it wasn't a restaurant, but like it was a hospital. Like, was it in the cafeteria or something of the hospital?
Yeah, it's inside the hospital. And actually, you're not even allowed to go in the hospital unless you're there or you're a patient or something. So, but you can order ahead of time. And then I had to pull up and they brought it out to me is what we did.
Okay. So as she mentioned, most of the kids, this is their first time ever having Chick-fil-A in the city of Detroit. Like they've never had Chick-fil-A. So for those children who haven't traveled outside of Detroit, right? They are like Chick-fil-A, like we heard of it, we see the commercials, but we've never had it. I'm thinking, yo, this is unbelievable to think that Chick-fil-A is a, give me a word for it, guys. Like they never had it before. So it's like a rarity or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like what? Chick-fil-A is like on your wish list? Like unbelievable. But we were able to get it. So you talk about $100 to write Chick-fil-A, you know, and Katie had to go to that one particularly because they all were like, yo, we want the sandwich and fries. And we've never had it before. And I think Katie said standard is they don't.
No fries with catering orders.
So no fries.
Yeah. They think that they won't like hold up as well. So it's like standard Chick-fil-A says they do not do fries with catering.
Okay, so tell them what you did, Katie. Hey, we eat our own dog food. So it's not like we don't just say this stuff to you guys. Like we rehearse it to ourselves and we actually use it in our own lives to get through, you know, whatever hurdles we have to get through. And the babies wanted fries. So I was like, yo, we got to figure out how to make this happen.
Do whatever it takes.
They wanted fries. We talk about executing around here a lot. And you have all heard E say, be demanding. And especially when it's in the way of making impact for our kids. So they wanted fries. So I called 3 different Chick-fil-A's. They all told me no fries. So then I called that last one back again. And we just kept chatting until they said they would do the fries. So,
you just kept chatting. I
was very kind.
Yeah.
And truly, honestly, I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but people just want to be like appreciated these days, right? And so even when I got there were like only 2 people working and they were so overwhelmed. It was a long wait. So I was texting E like, I'll be there, I promise, but I'm going to be maybe late. But I just told them like, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you getting this for our kids. I know you went out of your way. It's not what you normally do. And they were so nice. They were over the top nice. I really think they were doing their best. So yeah, I mean, be demanding in a nice way, right? That's the way I went.
No question. But
in a personable way.
Yeah, no. But Sam, I think this is important. When you're being demanding for a great cause, it's easier to be demanding. You know, when you're being demanding because you're trying to help students understand the value and the power of education.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And I told them that they were grateful to be a part of the impact when they knew it was.
Yeah.
And when they brought it out, they said, have a great school year. Tell the students we're happy for them. I mean, they were really So we made it happen. Surprise.
You feel me? I got to get with somebody though and say, hey, we got to start opening up these Chick-fil-A's in the cities. And I got to start telling the cities that it's something called Southern hospitality. You better embrace it if you want to open up a Chick-fil-A. So with that being said, I'm going to go again because I really want you guys to hear it. So it's not that our babies don't want to write. Mm-hmm. It's not that they don't want to engage in a topic. It's not. For some students, unfortunately, it takes, more convincing, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that it's not there. And so as educators, it's our responsibility to listen to the environment, to observe the environment and go, what's needed here to move the needle? So what's needed here is Cash App is is a very fond term, with our children. Like, we're gonna Cash App you $100. Oh man, you're gonna Cash App me $100. Yep. We're gonna do a party. Yep. We're gonna bring in special guests, right? I thought my daughter Jada did something phenomenal. So, of course, she came up to speak, and I guess her degree had, Michigan State has helped her. And she left me and started counting chairs. Like, what is she doing? And so it dawned on me. So we went up, got maybe about 30 chairs or so, and she put it in a circle. And so it's like, yo, I'm gonna move them, even environmentally, I'm gonna move them from being in this dark, auditorium and put them in a more intimate space. And I promise you, they got up there and started asking her some serious questions around college, in preparation in college, like, should we go, shouldn't we go? For you, was it easy? And she spoke up about, her experience going to a, predominantly white institution. I think Jada might have been 2 or 3 of Black females that were there, at the time, and so she just tried to explain, look, I had a different experience than you guys, but at the same time, you might think that everything was roses, but it's like, I had my academic challenges, my environmental challenges. And so, no, I didn't necessarily just 4.0 it. You know what I'm saying? I had my challenge. And so I think the third thing was them hearing her, be vulnerable and talk about, her experiences, but her saying once I settled down and really buckled, in on my academics, yep, I got accepted on academic probation. I think it's academic provision. She got in the state, but it was you had to get a 3.0. You couldn't have a 2.0. And so she talked about going in as an underdog, but graduated pretty much in 3 years, So I think we've got to find a way to figure out what moves them about learning, what gets them going, what their why is. And so I'll let Katie speak more to the actual writing assignment, but I'll give you guys an overview of what we did. So I noticed there were clusters. So I noticed the kids were coming in from schools, or they played on the same team, right? So this was a program done by Detroit Public School Systems, and specifically Sound Mind, Sound Body, which is Curtis Blackwell's event. So when they came in, I was like, okay, here's what you got to do. You have to name your group. So whatever your group is, give them a name. You have to pick a leader. So whatever your name is, and it's crazy because these kids pay attention. So TJ did a message around African wild dogs. Mm-hmm. So one group was like, yo, we the African wild dogs. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay. So you got to get a name. You got to tell me why you selected that name. Why is that significant to you to be an African wild dog? Then we talked about, you got to go do your research and give us some qualities, characteristics, some history about that particular topic, the African wild dog. And then tell us how it applies to you, right? And so I was super excited when they, were excited about doing it. I didn't know who was going to do it, who weren't. But at that particular school, everybody in the group did it. Now, they turned it into Katie. They didn't turn it into me. So I didn't get to read their samples. But I just want you teachers to know they did do the assignment, and I believe some of them made the revisions that they were asked to make. So, Katie, if you don't mind, and then of course, Sam, I know you've had students to do assignments around the Costa Rica project. So it's like, you just don't get to go, but here's some things you have to do. And then you tell us how you feel the incentives and understanding who they were helped them to do those assignments. Katie?
Yeah, I think they all did their feedback, I want to say, except one group, only because they were having some technical issues. And that group was still emailing me yesterday because they wanted to make sure that I could, help them fix that so I could read their papers. So they were very motivated, I think is the first piece that you touched on. Before you were at the visit where you explained this assignment, of course, I wasn't there at that day. And before you could even tell me what the assignment was, I was already getting emails from the students with the papers. So that night, the same night, so I was asking Train, like, what are these papers I'm getting there? I'll email you papers. So that piece of like getting them motivated right away, I think a big part of that was that you included choice in the assignment. I know I talk about this a lot with choice reading and choice writing, but you still provided structure of what you wanted them to do. The assignment was a certain word length, right? You gave them a length. You told them that it had to involve research. They had to work as a group. So there was structure provided, but there was also choice. And there's so much power when you give kids choice and a voice in their writing, especially because that writing got to be a little bit about them. And so there's a lot of power in that, especially at the beginning of the school year, teachers. If you can get your kids writing about themselves and feeling valued, like their voice matters and that it's important to you to hear their voice, that's a really great way to get them started writing right away. So that motivation piece was huge. I do want to ask you this, E, because I know there's going to be some teachers that hear this and think, well, I can't offer my students $100 or Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So what would you say to those teachers when we're talking incentives?
So I don't know that any incentive per se is better than another incentive. Like, you may think money is the reason why I do money is because I don't have a relationship, right? If I was in a school with a kid for 180 days, I wouldn't have to do money. That's like my kids. Like, I don't have to give my kids money. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't have to give my kids money because I'm around them enough to know what moves them, what excites them, right? So that's really what it's really all about. Actually, money is the easiest thing to give, but it's not necessarily it's not the thing that necessarily moves kids the most, right? In the long term. So for me, I would say if you're a teacher, you actually have the well, let me just say what I used to do as a teacher. So I had hey, for all of you who are doing what you're supposed to do, either during lunch or immediately after school, we can go hoop, right? We can all go hoop, right? Or we can go play video games together. Like, I'll bring a TV or two, and then we can sit down, and play video games together. Or what is it that you guys would want to do with me? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times kids would say, yo, can you come to our football game? Or the girls like, can you come to our basketball game? So when I was teaching, they actually wanted my presence more than anything. Like, they were like, yo, come watch us, come watch our game. And I was like, all right, if y'all do what y'all supposed to do, I'll come to 3 away games. Because most teachers, we came to the, to the home game. We didn't all go to the away game. So I was like, yo, I'll come to 3 away games if y'all do what y'all supposed to do. And it's like, all right, cool. So, again, please understand that money really is, like, you don't have to have a relationship with a person to give a person money, right? And then other things, I would do, kids would say, like, can you call my daddy and ask my daddy to come to the game? And I'm like, I got you. And it was like, yo, Mr. Thomas, for whatever reason, my dad liked you, and the biggest thing I've ever done for students, and I don't recommend this at all for any of our teachers. I don't recommend this. I'm answering a question. I used to do, when kids they really handled their business, I used to do a sleepover, right? So we'd stay at the school, they'd bring their sleeping bags. I'll provide the food.
So fun.
The dads could come, and we would just lock the school up Friday night. And we spend Friday night to Saturday night together. And that was like the funnest, Like I said, I know a lot of teachers aren't into that kind of stuff, but we had a projector and speakers that had a movie night, in there, popcorn. Like we ate junk food. One father would barbecue or cook for us. The moms would help cook. And so it was like nothing positive. We just having a great time. And I do that I do it twice a year. Once, the first time was kind of like, hey, you got to handle your business. Some people would mess up. But then the second one was like, yo, no, everybody, no behavior problems, no whatever. So I believe that when you spend time with people, you figure out what makes them tick. And you use what they like as an incentive, to push them and motivate them.
I love it. I love the answer so much. That relationship is the power. Like you don't have to have that money piece. It just real quick reminded me of this one instance. I remember I had a student that was new to an English class because, our high school students would rotate throughout the year and was having some trouble with a teacher not wanting to turn the paper in. And so myself and another administrator who worked with the student were trying to help him out. And the other administrator asked, like, don't you care that teacher's going to realize that you didn't turn it in? Do you not care? And he was like, no, I don't care. And I said, well, do you care that I want you to turn it in? And he stopped and said, yeah. And I was like, then turn it in, right? Yeah. But it was because I had, and that wasn't like that teacher probably was wonderful and they ended up having a good relationship, right? But that's just an example of the power of like when you already have a relationship with a student. I already had them in my class. Sometimes they don't even have to have a prize. They just have to know that you care about them and you care about them completing the work. And so that is a powerful answer. I actually wasn't expecting, but I really, really like that we just have to build those relationships with kids. That matters.
That's so true. E, you had me like flashing back to elementary school when we had a lock-in. Also, I remember I had way too much candy. I couldn't stop laughing in my sleeping bag in the gym, and I got sent to the principal's office because I wouldn't be quiet. And I wouldn't go to sleep, but it was so much fun. But yeah, I don't know if they do that anymore, but I definitely just had a ton of memories flash back.
Right.
I think what I love about what you two are saying is like teachers, you have the power of the relationship. Like every single day, you are the number one person that can have this impact, right, on students because of that proximity and that relationship that you can build. And what I love about what I just heard is just students need to know the significance, right? They need to understand the why. So behind anything that you ask them to do. And connecting that to what they care about, you will have much success. And it does take work to do that, right? Because not every individual student is going to be motivated by money, right? Not every individual student is going to be motivated by the teacher, seeing that they turned it in. Sure. And so I think you really, really have to dig deep and build those relationships like from the beginning of the year. And that's what's so exciting. It's the beginning of the school year for some teachers. Some teachers you still have a couple of weeks, and I've been seeing a lot of teachers post like first week of school, like the nostalgia that's coming from that. Just that relationship is key. And I think like for Show Me the World project, traveling to Costa Rica, I think that's another example where obviously not every kid gets the opportunity to do that, but the significance is there. And so for our students, they have to write a speech during the program, right? And so that's a piece of writing. We were talking about writing, where they're just saying why they want to go to Costa Rica and explaining, what they're excited to learn about and all that. And so there's a writing component there first. And a lot of them say, like, I've never written a speech before. Well, that's also because, maybe there wasn't the opportunity or they were nervous about writing a speech or whatever the case is. But it's like the significance is there now to say, let me sit down and lock in and ask for help, right, on how to write a speech. And so I think it's just a reminder that power of the relationship is there. It's so exciting to be that proximate. And you can really have a huge impact there and just figure out what students care about.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and I don't even know if you guys remember, but there are multiple types of writings, right? And I don't know if you guys, maybe one or two, you can think of a couple. I just want to make a point in terms of why I did what I did in terms of ask for that, for that writing sample. So can you give me a couple types of writing samples?
Yeah, I mean, and even just the fact that you asked for the writing sample before you provided instruction, I want to make sure people heard that, because that is powerful too. That's that assessment before instruction piece, like not just getting to know the kids with the topic, but you wanted to know what is their level so you can meet them there.
Absolutely.
Rather than just coming in with the lesson plan and teaching them what you want. So major power in that. But of course, like research paper, right? All of our students are going to have to do that.
Absolutely.
All through middle school, high school, college. And so that instructional time spent on informational writing and specifically research writing is going to be really, really impactful.
Yeah. And so for me, I realize that whatever they're being asked to write, and when you do, like, let's say when you, I had to do it for the GED. I don't remember what it was, but it's real popular in high school. Like it's a type of paper that you would write. And I don't
like a 5-paragraph essay or something.
Yeah, essay. Mm-hmm. Essay. It's a high school term. I forgot about it. You know, when you start doing advanced degrees, it's all research. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Books now.
No essay.
No books.
So for me, what I wanted to ascertain from them doing the assignment was, one, I'm not putting the responsibility on them initially. I'm taking full responsibility. I'm taking full ownership. So I'm not necessarily interested in what you can do more than I'm interested in observing what you can do, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I started with, let me give you guys some instruction and see how well, you can do instruction, right? So you got to have a name, you got to have a leader. And it's like, okay, what's the leader for? I'm like, well, in the event that one of us has to reach out, mm-hmm. I need somebody that's going to be responsible. Somebody's going to be able to say why you wrote what you wrote. Any feedback, somebody needs to step up to the plate. So now I'm looking for and teaching them the importance of leadership, right? I'm asking, I'm doing certain time frames. Okay, it needs to be done in this time frame. Mm-hmm. All right, now I'm just trying to see if they can, get things done in time, or do they procrastinate? Okay, nope, don't turn it into me. You got to get it to Katie. Here's her email address. Now I'm trying to understand. Okay, like, can you be responsible? Can you use technology? Do you have access to an internet? So I'm figuring out, like, most of these kids seem like they have access to an internet because everybody was able to turn it in, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, good. So now I know there's no digital divide. So you have access to Google, you have access to an email, you have access to some major engine. So it's like, okay, I got it. Okay, I want you to work together as a team. Why? Because most of what we do in the real world requires you to work with other people, and nobody has the same personality, right? So problem solving, can they work together to get this thing done? And then the actual writing assignment. Here's what I said, teachers. I said, do me a favor, guys. Don't worry about punctuation. Like, do your best. Don't worry about if you can't spell a word. Write it as you see it. Why? Because if they're fearful and they're afraid, then they're not going to write, and I'm not going to know where they are.
Yeah.
So if I tell you don't worry about punctuation and you don't, then you probably didn't because you don't know it, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like, well, don't tell them that because then they're not. No, if they know how to do it, they're going to do it, right? If you know where a sentence goes, a period goes, if you know where a comma goes, a question mark goes, you're not going to omit it and go, oh, you said we'll have to do it. So it's just a part of writing, right? So I wanted to know vocabulary, what level where we were in vocabulary. These were things that are important. So I almost, gave them an alley-oop. It's like, yo, here goes. And whether you know it or not, teachers, alley-oop is still 2 points. That's still 2 points. I kind of know in your brain, you're thinking that it's not 2 points. But in basketball, if I throw you an alley-oop, you do get 2 points for that. They don't go, oh, you only get one because he gave you an assist. No, you get the alley-oop, I get the assist, right? And so you need to know as teachers, you really do get the assist when they really learn. Yeah. Our job is not to make it difficult. Our job is not to put it out of reach. Like, that's not our job. Yeah. Our job is not to prove, we're mean. and that's not our job. Our job is to support and assist.
Yeah.
And people need support in different types of ways.
Where they are.
And another assist that I love that you all incorporated into this is the feedback, because that is so key. And I remember getting to college and like, I wasn't the strongest writer. I don't know if you all experienced this, but I had a sea of red on that first paper. And I was
like
very
a horror movie.
My
paper was like a horror movie.
I was very overwhelmed. But I think it's so critical, for educators, and this could be across subject areas also, right, is to give small pieces of feedback on very targeted areas, right, to help grow the writer throughout the year. But I think that's so key in this component, is that you made them feel comfortable to jump at the assignment, do what they can, and then you all are offering feedback. And it sounds like there were corrections, which is like a whole nother lesson, right? Like, hey, we're going to give you feedback, and then you can make the corrections and turn it back in. And wow, like for all of us as leaders, as educators, like being able to accept, receive feedback, make corrections, and try again, that's a human lesson, right? That we all need to learn and continue to practice. So I love that you all incorporated that with the writing as well.
Well, Katie had to do the feedback. I didn't give any, what I'm saying? I made the excuse of time. Like I'm swamped, you know what I'm saying?
That is also very, like being a high school teacher. I mean, I can't even imagine. You have maybe 150 pieces, like essays to give feedback on is like very targeted feedback. I'm assuming that's key, right? Because you just can't give feedback on everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's that time before we go to Principal B's office. Let's just give them that one, focused, targeted message. For me, it is, man, be the best assist artist that you can be. You got Stockton, you got Magic, you got CP3, you got Isaiah Thomas. Like, you have people who have become legends for providing assist, right? And as educators, it is not our role anymore to shine, right? It's not our role to shine anymore. We had our opportunity, K through 12, whatever formal education we received, we had our time to shine. Now it's time to set up our babies to shine, and the best guards know where to place the ball for their teammates. Like, that's what, it's not just about an assist. Like, what I'm saying? Scotty like it over here. Jordan like it over here. Shaq like the alley-oops here. And let's figure out where our babies are already gifted academically. And then let's assist them to get to maybe the areas that they're not as great at. And, guys, I got to be vulnerable here. It took me 5 days to do the audio book. And it was just so funny that, it was a challenge. It was a challenge, one, because it's a different skill set, writing, speaking, and actually reading out loud. And that's not something I realized, like, I read, but I don't read. And having a slight bit of dyslexia and then ADHD coming up in school, I always realized, like, I always read stuff that's not there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why I do it or how, but like, I guess because I wasn't a good reader, that I used to always try to like forecast, and so I'll read stuff that isn't there. And then I realize I'm super African-American. We put S on everything. My wife is like Myers, just everything. It's like, where'd the S come from? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's a part culturally. That's just something that we do, in conversation. So when I'm reading, they're like, Eric, there's no S. It's in the plural. And I'm like, I promise you I'm not trying to be singular. I mean, I'm not trying to not be singular. It's just, we just put an S on everything. And so it was a challenge. But I remember maybe 7, 8 years ago, when I would go into a studio and I would have to get a script, and it like, I'm not a script guy, I remember just being so frustrated and so, you know, like literally, CJ, like, all right, Eric, relax. I'm ready to go. I'm like, CJ, if you know how to do this well, you come in the booth and you do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would just get frustrated. Like, you come here since you that smart and you know how to do it, you do it. Why am I over here? You could do it. He's like, but they want your voice. Okay. So this was the first time I'm with strangers, you know, and I've got to go over and over and over again. This is the first time I was able to do it without any challenges. And the way I was able to do it, teachers, as you're working with your students, the way I was able to do it was to say to myself, you're such a great speaker, you know, that you're not a reader, you know. But I didn't see the insufficiency. I just saw, man, you speak so well that you're being asked to do something that's not even in your wheelhouse because you do what you do so well, you know. And so I saw it in the positive. I was like, yo, E, just relax, slow down, read what's on the paper. Because when I read my book, I didn't read it like every word for word. With Penguin, they were like, yo, we need word for word. I'm like, what? The way you write is not even the way you speak. Like, it doesn't even come out the same way, you know? And so, but I did it, 5 days, got it done. And so, yeah, when you're working with your students, when they're not strong in an area, don't beat them up with the fact that that's not a strength. Like, really assist them and focus on, man, you know how you do that so well? Bring that energy over into this. And I guarantee you, if you do that, you won't get the frustration or the quitting and the giving up. Sam, talk to me.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Make sure that as an educator and as a parent also, because you can help support in this, but create and express the significance and relevance of each task. Make it fun, make it engaging, right? And provide meaning, the why behind it.
Love it. Good.
Love it. I'm just going to encourage the teachers who maybe feel like teaching writing isn't their strong suit. If you're not an English teacher, right, we all have to include writing across the content areas. So find a place where you can learn to increase your skills as a writing teacher. So 2 quick things. If you have a national writing project location in your town, get involved with them. There's a really great one at Michigan State, but I know they're across the country. So look that up, National Writing Project. They help turn every teacher into the most amazing writing teachers. And then for our elementary teachers that are here and listening, I know we talked about high school a lot, but I'm going to throw a quick book recommendation at you. Find some professional text that also helps you to become a better teacher of writing. So this one is Reading and Writing Informational Text in the Primary Grades. And it's by Nell Duke, who used to be at MSU. She's at U of M now, but really, really amazing professor of helping teachers teach writing. So you don't have to know all the answers. Go find people that are the experts and learn from them so that we can be the best teachers we can be for our students.
Love it, love it, love it. Hey, back to you, Coach B, to the principal's office, man. Love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Principal's Office on Mass Impact, the education podcast. You know what we do here. We recap and review some of the most impactful points from today's broadcast. Today we were talking all about how do we create skilled writers, writing one of the most important skills that anybody can learn because, of course, everything that we do is communication. You learn how to write, you learn how to communicate, that transfers over into everything else that these students will do for the rest of their lives. So we know that it's important, but how do we facilitate that process of creating skilled writers? See, here at Mass Impact, we believe that education is the foundation of success. It's the root of everything that we do. And we talked about a writing assignment that E.T. and Katie gave some kids at the Detroit public school system not too long ago. They were running a program out there, and they gave these kids a writing assignment, and they talked about why it was so powerful. And it included these elements. Number one, they captured a writing sample. So the instruction was actually based off of what the kids were doing. It was the level that they were at. Again, we talk about this concept all the time. We're meeting them where they are, not just telling them to come to us. So we gather a writing sample to assess where they currently are so that we can provide instruction based on their unique circumstance. Number two, we gave them an incentive. right? Now, this could be an actual prize, right? You can give something away, or it can simply be grown into intrinsic motivation, right? It's pride. It is the gold star on the wall, right? So you have to give them some sort of incentive that gets them excited. It gets their competitive juices flowing, so they're incentivized to take part in this. Now, number 3, they gave them immediate feedback, right? Immediate feedback. Students were provided with details on how they could improve, which were then executed, right? I think about this with my athletics background all the time. In gymnastics, we never received a piece of advice of, hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to look this way. You need to pull this. You need to squeeze this muscle. And then we weren't asked to go immediately execute it. No, that never happened. We were given the advice. We were told what we needed to correct. And then immediately, not the next day, not the next week, immediately while we were in the moment, we were asked to go execute on that advice, on that improvement, so that we could make a change immediately rather than letting those bad habits fester and grow. Last but not least, number 4, these kids were given coaching, direct instruction from E and Katie about how to become better writers. One-on-one, right? It's not always possible, but it is possible to give each and every student some one-on-one attention, some direct coaching during every exercise. So the question is, how can we as leaders in education intertwine these elements into what we're doing to move the needle? And that's a question that we would love to hear from all of you about. Drop it in the comments below. How can we use these 4 aspects of this writing assignment? Again, number 1, they captured a sample to figure out where we're starting from. Number 2, they provided an incentive to get them excited about doing it. Number 3, they had immediate feedback. There was no delay in the feedback and how they were able to implement that feedback. And then number 4, they had direct one-on-one coaching and attention from their teacher. So how can you take those 4 elements, integrate them into what you do every single day, and use that to help create better writers? If we know that being a skilled writer is so important to these kids, then we have to get all of our babies writing. They've all got to do it. It doesn't matter if you're naturally talented, if you don't necessarily have a thing for writing, we have to teach everybody how to become a better writer. And let's do whatever it takes to get them all where they need to be. We know it's possible. We know that they can do it. It's just a matter of getting them there. Now, really quick, I was looking out over the Nashville skyline, right? That's what you see behind me here. And I don't think you can quite see it on camera, but just to my right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cranes out there. Big cranes. I mean, bigger than a lot of the buildings that are out here. And they're building all of these new skyscrapers. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said that the city plan for Nashville actually includes 20 new skyscrapers being built by the year 2030. My mind was blown. 20 different skyscrapers. I think that's more than we have as is, and they're building that all in the next few years. And I was thinking about that, and I said, wow, the people who are in charge of running the city literally sat down, they had a vision, and they wrote down, here's exactly how we're going to do it. Here's exactly how many skyscrapers we're going to build. Here's exactly what the blueprints are going to be, and here's when they're going to be ready by, right? And I started thinking, they do that. Let's take this writing as an example. How many times do we sit there and say, I'm going to create measurable improvement in the writing skills of 20 students by the end of the year, right? Or whatever your goal is. Maybe you're going to get 20 new college graduates that come from your class within the next 5 years. You're going to get 20 new scholarships. Whatever that goal is for you, be intentional about setting it. Write the vision and make it plain so that you can run to it and that you can accomplish it. As always, thank you so much for joining us here on Mass Impact, the Education Podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.